I mean, it's so important. It's so important. We actually have our students in an improvisation class. We require all of them to work with Douglas Dunn, who is one of the really main figures in dance and dance history of who've developed improvisational practice. Improvisation, our students often don't realize, is inherently connected to cultural practice. They don't realize a lot of our sort of American students, or students who practice what we would like theatrical forms of dance, don't often realize how inherent it is and how important improvisation is in different cultural practices. And in many cases, the improvisatory practice has been divorced from certain forms of dance. So, for example, jazz dance. Somehow it got really, the improvisation of that form, and tap is another, was really founded on improvisation, and it became separated, and sort of jazz got put into the dance studio, and the teacher stood in front and the students lined up, and that was it, and we have a really interesting professor here, Patricia Cohen, who teaches a studio-based course, but really has the students explore the culture of jazz dance and jazz as a culture in dance, and its roots in other forms, in other cultural forms. They also get, a straightforward improv class with Douglas Dunn, and I think it's so important for them to do that, because we notice that they don't often know how to play. They have to learn how to play, and learning how to play is so important to teaching, and it's so important to art making, and it's so important to research. It's like foundational to all of those. Many of our dancers come in from what we would call, have had a real history of having what we would call a skill and drill practice, and they've never improvised in their life, and they're just terrified of it. They're just absolutely terrified of it, and it takes them the whole semester to kind of figure out what's going on, and I think ultimately it helps them become okay with ambiguity, and ambiguity is such an important part of life, and being able to cope in life, and it's such an inherent, beautiful part of artistic practice, is leaving space for ambiguity, and understanding how ambiguity helps you form a work of art, or helps you form your teaching, how it actually informs you in a strange way. So we just think it's so crucial. It's so crucial. We immerse them in it just right away when they get here, and they have 2 years if you're in our master's program, 1.5 years for some, 2 years, and it's really the first thing we do with them is get them playing, get them listening to their body, get them realizing that they can make their own rules, they can play with other people's rules, they can change rules, they can pick up off of other people, they can form relationships by becoming more sensitive to what other people are doing, recognize patterns. Ensemble performance absolutely demands the improvisatory sensitivity. You're not an ensemble unless you're almost in, unless your skin is almost, kinetically connected to somebody else's skin. I mean, so much of our instrument, our body, is skin, and so for the dancer, our skin is like having 1,000 pairs of eyes, and improvisation and improvisatory practice is definitely about becoming sensitive in all of your skin, and that's so important to ensemble work, of being able to pick up off of somebody's kinetic energy, to pick up off of somebody's breath, to pick up, you know, something out of the corner of your eye that then you can sense through this whole side of your body, or so that's, you know, I think improvisation builds that kind of sensitivity as well. And, you know, in terms of a soloist working, you know, improvisation would serve them differently. You know, they may want to scat off of a phrase that they've made, so that they can engage in a conversation with the audience. So it has that sort of different quality to it, I would say.